remember, my head cut off. It's okay? Okay, good. You don't have to believe any of the ideas you hear tonight in the way of mastery. As a matter of fact, I specialize in saying stuff that we don't necessarily hear, that we're not necessarily taught, and that we don't necessarily believe, because that's the definition of new. When we say we want to hear something new and different that might be helpful, it usually means we're going to hear something that's outside of our belief system. So the way that you allow yourself to hear something different is to let go of the idea that I need you or want you to necessarily believe anything that I'm saying. Is that fair enough? Mm-hmm. So I'm not trying to convert anybody. I'm not trying to convince anybody of anything. What I'm doing is sharing what the Way of Mastery teaches about how you allow yourself to finally have some peace and joy and happiness from within yourself. So we're going to start out with a little short visualization that I'd like to do. So I'd like to invite you to just relax, close your eyes, tune into what I'm saying if you choose to. If you don't, have a good time on whatever journey you choose to take. You want to daydream, think about what's on TV tonight, whatever, you answer, okay? I want you to imagine being able to go to the grocery store. Bet that's the first time you hear the meditation start off like that. Imagine being able to go to your grocery store and push your little metal carts down the aisles so that you can fill it with the boxes of what appears to be fresh food. And notice the thought waves of those around you. I want you to imagine yourself in the grocery store, but just imagine yourself beginning to pick up what's going on in the drama of the people that you see in the store, even though you don't know them. Imagine that each one of those beings, they have their own story. They have their own life. And that you are actually being able to telepathically communicate to them the answers to their dilemmas. So in other words, pretend that you have the ability to send solutions to them, to their particular issues, from mind to mind. We're just pretending. Imagine that you have the power to send solutions to the people in the grocery store around you concerning their concerns, their problems, the things that they are concerned about. Notice that this meditation has nothing to do with your story, your problems, your life, your desires. But this meditation has to do with imagining yourself being able to telepathically communicate to them, others, the answers to their dilemmas. Now imagine yourself being able to do that with the other people in this room. I want you to imagine that you're able to pick up what's going on in their dramas, because every one of us got some kind of drama going. We got a story. We have a life. And just imagine that you had the ability to telepathically communicate the answers to each other's problems right now. Would that not feel like a greater degree of freedom than you've been accustomed to? The way of transformation absolutely requires that you be committed, to living differently. If you're ready for your life to transform inwardly right now, make the commitment to live your life differently. For is not transformation a change from your status quo? So how can you experience transformation if you don't use time to think differently? How can you transform if you don't use time to be differently? Crying out to God won't do it. Crying out to another person won't do it. Reading 1,000 holy books will not do it. One thing and one thing only will bring you into the transformation that you sought. The willingness to live where you are right now differently. So I'd like for you to remind yourself, whether you believe it or not, remember we don't have to believe it. Remind yourself that you are unlimited spirit. You are an unlimited being. I am an unlimited being. You abide in all dimensions. I abide in all dimensions. You have extraordinary abilities. I have extraordinary abilities. They are already within me. They are already within you. Because if you didn't already have extraordinary abilities within you, it would mean that the Creator creates with inequality. If anyone has extraordinary abilities, then you have extraordinary abilities, whether you're aware of it or not, because the Creator would not create unequally. So your ego might respond, well, you are born with that gift, but I don't have it. Somebody else is born with this gift of abundance and intelligence and creativity, but I don't have it. We are all equals in spirit. The only difference in the field of time is that it appears that some of us have accessed and cultivated their inherent abilities more than others have. You are an unlimited being. You are powerful. You are not a victim of anything you see. So I'm going to read 2 or 3 paragraphs, and then we're going to elaborate on it a little bit, and we're going to go a little bit further. The only thing that makes a real difference in our experience is our thoughts. Our thoughts create a different reality for us. If you loved your thoughts, you wouldn't have any problems. If you loved your thoughts, you wouldn't have any unhappiness if you loved your thoughts. So do you know every bit of unhappiness that you're coming from is coming from the conversation that you're having with yourself in your mind? It's you making yourself miserable all day, or it's you that's making yourself happy all day. Either I'm in love with the thoughts I'm telling myself all day, or I'm in conflict and I don't like the thoughts that I'm telling myself all day. So the way of mastery is saying you can then use the idea that others have it better than you or have more talents than you. But the only thing it means is they've accessed their talents. They've accessed their inherent abilities. They've cultivated them, and you haven't. It doesn't mean you don't have special talents and abilities that are unique to you. It just means you might not have accessed them yet. And so it says, you then use this to perceive another as more special than you, as a way of proving to yourself your lack of worth, your smallness, and your weakness. You think that perhaps someday, if only you live the next 100 lifetimes being a good person, then maybe these abilities will begin to spontaneously show up in you. But there are no accidents, and nothing you see being made manifest in the life of anyone has occurred by accident. Everything you see is deliberate. There are no accidents. There are no accidents. There are no accidents. Everything that you see, everything that you experience is deliberate. Everything. Therefore, if you would look upon another and say, oh, they talk with Jesus, or they talk with the higher power, or they talk with the master, but I could never do that, stop lying to yourself. If you think you couldn't talk to the divine within yourself, stop lying to yourself. Stop lying to yourself. Rather come to see that if this ability to commune with your divine self, if this ability is being made manifest in your field of awareness, it's because you have called it to yourself as a reminder of what's already inherent within you. So I need to call the divine to myself. I need to make an effort to get in touch with that part of myself. If another lays the hands of the body on the forehead of one who is sick, and the one who is sick arises and the disease is no longer present, remember that you have called that experience through that beloved brother or sister into the field of your consciousness to remind you of the truth of your being. In other words, if you feel attracted to being a healer, then drop everything else you are committed to and begin healing. If you feel attracted, whatever you truly feel attracted to in your heart that inspires you, then drop everything else you are committed to and begin doing it. Now, the way that most people block themselves is the first thing they ask is, how? How am I going to do that? And how is the booby prize. Trying to figure out how is the thing you do when you're actually not sure you really want to do it. How is what you focus on when you are afraid to fully commit yourself to something. Then it becomes more emphasis on how am I going to do it than do I want to do it? Am I inspired to do it? Is this what I feel moved to do? I've been really, in this book, there's a point where he talks about when you really get in touch with your higher self, when you really get in touch with your true self, you become moved to do things. It's almost like you can't help yourself. You have to do it. Like when I first discovered the Course in Miracles, and I was in a corporate environment, and I resigned what I was doing that was very lucrative, and it had a ton of future. As a matter of fact, I was working for the Bell South, and they were about to promote me to another level. But when I discovered the Course in Miracles, chills went up and down my spine, and I knew that I was here. Part of my reason for being here was to be a means for that material to come through me into the world. I didn't know anybody else who was doing anything like that full time. It was weird material. And not very well known. That was 33 years ago. But I could not do it, because that was why I was here. I was inspired to do it. And when you're inspired to do something and you're being moved by spirit to do it, you do not let how am I going to do it stop you. What you do is you focus on this is what I want to do. And if you get the goal clear in your mind, the Course in Miracles teaches that the goal will create the way to achieve itself. Now, hear that again. The goal will create the way. The means follows the end or the goal. So if I said for sure I really wanted to be a Course in Miracles teacher, and I was sure I wanted to be a truth teacher, and I was not kidding around, the way to do that started to present itself from every direction possible. So if it looks like you can't figure out how to do something, you don't really want to do it yet. If you really are moved from within, the way to achieve it will happen. And that's true about anything. It can be true about if you say you want a relationship. It can be true if you say you want to experience more prosperity and abundance as an unlimited being. Wherever it looks like you're dealing with a block, it usually means that you're not 100% committed to it. And there's something about it that's frightening to you. And because you're frightened, you come up with reasons and obstacles and blocks to achieving it. And the blocks and the obstacles come from the fear of achieving it. Because what better way to not do something you're afraid of than to have something come up that keeps you from doing it? You understand? That way you don't have to admit you're just not committed and you're afraid. You can just go, oh, I wanted to do that, but it's too hard and I can't see how I can accomplish that and how I can do that. And now the Course has taught me whenever that comes up for me to say, rather than trying to figure out how I'm going to do this, I need to get clear that I want to do this. So I should be working on my motivation more than I should be working on how I'm going to achieve it. Deep. So before I go into cultivating an unlimited consciousness, yes.
I'm trying to figure out a way to avoid the word how. I'm sorry. The block is coming from the ego.
Mm-hmm.
And the lack of motivation would be coming from the ego. What can one do?
But the lack of motivation could be coming from the fact that you just don't really want it. So lack of motivation isn't necessarily the ego. It can just be you're saying you really want something that you don't really want, or you're saying that you want something that you're afraid to have.
How do you change that? I'm sorry.
But it's not a matter of changing that so much as a matter of learning how to go within and ask and feel in your heart what it is that inspires you, what it is that moves you, what it is that turns you on. It's about you being willing to move in the direction of your joy and what you love, rather than moving in the direction of what you think is going to bring you the most security. See, most people do everything out of what they think is going to bring them the most security, their survival instinct. And that's the lowest level of consciousness, is the survival security level. And that's where the vast majority of people are operating. They just want to be able to make it, because they've lost sight of the fact that they're unlimited spiritual beings who actually create through their thoughts, feelings, emotions, and beliefs. So therefore, if you desire something completely, you are going to create it, and you're going to create an opportunity to have it. But it's got to be what you really desire in your heart. Now, that's not necessarily something that you're going to sit here tonight and you're going to come up with that and I'm going to come up with that for you. The point of what I'm teaching right now is to let you know that anywhere that you see an obstacle, but it's something that you think you want, then you need to get in touch with, do you really want it? And are you afraid to have it? Because the obstacles are coming from the fear and the lack of commitment to the goal, not the external situation that you say is the problem. That's the point that this is trying to get across to us.
So you discover that you're afraid.
Yeah, right.
And then what?
and then you get in touch with why you wanted it in the first place, and do you really want it, and what would be the benefits of having it. Like, for instance, if I said I wanted a relationship with somebody, okay, the first thing I need to ask myself is, what do I want it for? What's the purpose of it? And if the purpose is my awakening, my spiritual growth, my joy, my aliveness, this other person's joy, this other person's aliveness, their healing, and it's not just I want it to fulfill my fantasies to make me feel gratified and special because I feel like something's missing in me, but it's really coming from a desire to evolve yourself, then you get the support of the universe behind that idea, because the universe is all about the evolutionary impulse, us moving to another level of love and connection. But most people aren't. That's not where they're operating from. And so they're unhappy because their desires have no real power, no real shakti, no real meaning. It's I just want to have a good time, which is great, but you're not going to have a better time than doing what moves your soul and what inspires your spirit and your heart. That's where a good time is coming from. So if I say I want a relationship and it looks like it's not happening, rather than me trying to figure out how, I need to get clear that I really want it. And then I have to ask myself, why do I want it? Because there's something in me that's afraid to have it if I'm saying I'm wanting it and it's not showing up. Same thing with prosperity. Same thing with your career. Whatever it is that you're saying, I've got this desire for and it's not happening, then I need to ask myself, do I really desire it? Am I really committed to it? And admit to myself, if it's not happening, that some part of me is afraid to have it and some part of me does have some blocks. Because it's not until I admit to myself that there's some part of me that's afraid that I'm going to be willing to get past the fear. But if I keep on saying, I really want it, but it's not showing up, and I really want peace, but it's not showing up, and I really want to forgive with my mama, but it's not happening, all that, as long as we keep playing the victim, which is the same as saying, I'm constantly saying I'm wanting things that aren't happening, I'm putting my energy into things, instead of fighting that goal, evidently, that's not what I really want right now, because if I really wanted it, it would be here. That's much more empowering than saying, I really want this and it's not happening, because that's convincing you that your desires have no power, that your desires and your wishes have no power. And that's why you want to go this route and go, oh, if this is true, then I have to admit to myself right now that this isn't happening in my life because some part of me really is afraid and I really don't want it. And so I need to get in touch with, do I want it, why I want it, what I want it for. And then when I do that, and I really am committed, then synchronicity kicks in, then spirit kicks in, then you begin to see ways to achieve it. But the only real desire is the desire to connect with our source, which is the source of our power, our love, our security, our light, and who we really are. The more you begin to wake up, the more you realize you want to be in touch with home base all the time. You want to be in touch with what you can call it God or whatever you like, but you want to be in touch with whatever it was that got your butt here in the first place, because you certainly didn't do it at this level. So something created you. I need to get in touch with that. And I need to get rid of every block that keeps me from being in touch with that, because it's the guidance of my higher self that would direct me toward the perfect career, my perfect function in the world, my perfect abundance, my perfect relationship, my perfect way of expressing myself. All of that can be given to me. I don't have to struggle. That can be given to you if you cultivate the ability to hear your own inner guidance. There's nothing more important than cultivating the ability to hear your own inner guidance. Why figure out things that you could simply be told? Like you could try to figure out how to get to my apartment, but wouldn't it be easier for me to say, this is where it is and this is how you get to it? Well, that's the way every moment of our lives can be. But we don't take the time to cultivate the ability to hear our guidance. And that's what this is about. That's what this is about. Getting to the point that you get honest and say, I am unlimited. I am creating my experience. I am a child of God. I'm not a victim of my experience. And whatever isn't happening is what I don't want to happen. And whatever is happening is what at some level I want to happen. I am not a victim of my life. And then I ask myself, what do I really want in my heart? What fires me up? What gets me turned on? What gets me excited? And if you say you want something and you don't have any kind of enthusiasm or fire or excitement about it, and it doesn't move you at all, it's another one of those desires that you're saying you want that you don't really want. And that's how you can tell. Tell me what you want and you have no excitement, no enthusiasm about it. That's, you can go, oh, I'm trying to fool myself again. I'm trying to do it again because I'm asking for something else again that I don't get really excited about having. You know how you meet somebody for the first time and you think that's the perfect relationship that you could ever really have, and you're getting ready to go out? You're usually not sitting at home bored. You can't wait to see them. You can't wait to spend time with them. You can't wait. That's the way we should be about everything that we say we want. And if that fire isn't there, then don't be surprised if it doesn't manifest. Because enthusiasm creates. The Course in Miracles teaches to totally desire is to create.
If it's not there, just dig deeper.
Yeah, there you boom. Yeah, if it's not there, don't beat yourself up. Just say, oh, okay, I can eliminate this because it isn't moving me. You know, you could really want to be a teacher, but you could think of ways you wanted to teach that didn't turn you on. That doesn't mean you don't want to be a teacher. It might just mean you haven't discovered the way to do it that turns you on. See the difference? So it's not saying that your overall goal might not be cool, but if you're not excited, it means the way that you think you're going to go about doing it, the way you are imagining it, is not the way for you, as you would be excited about it. Does that make sense to everybody? If I say I want to be a teacher, and then I go, oh, I just want to be a teacher. Oh, yeah. Okay, that means however I'm defining teacher isn't the right way for me to define teacher, even though I might be the best teacher in the world. But if I go, oh, I want to be a teacher, and I want to be a teacher that travels around and comes up with my own book and teach my own thing. You know what I'm saying? If I can come up with the way I want to do it, and the more I say it, the more excited I get, now I'm moving in the right direction because I'm moving in the direction of inspiration. I used to be unhappy, and then it was just waiting for things to get better. Somehow or another, they're just gonna get better. If I just hung around and just kept breathing long enough, somehow or another, my whole experience was just gonna turn from pain to joy. If I could just hold on, you know. And I'm so glad I got past that erroneous belief, because really it will freak you out how fast things will shift when you really are moving from your inspiration. It'll freak you out how much will start to happen when you're acting from your inspiration. Mm-hmm.
So, like using this class, for example, if I really desire to hear what you're saying, I don't need to worry about, oh, how am I going to get this and blah, 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 right? I just need to trust that if I really desire to hear what you're saying right now, I'm going to hear it.
If you really believe that what I was saying was going to get you what you wanted, attention would be no problem. If you all really believe what this book was teaching or what I'm saying would really result in you getting your heart's desire, you'd be leaning out your chair. You know, it's just like somebody told you, you know, that you had radiation poison and you had, 24 hours to live, but there was this antidote that I had, and I need to tell you where the antidote was. I bet you wouldn't be a sleep person in the world. It would not be one person nodding off. It wouldn't be none. Why? Because you would see what I'm saying as a means to achieve your goal. So the reason why classes like this many times don't necessarily create enthusiasm is because it's that you may not believe what it's saying. And so you don't believe it'll achieve your goal. See, so the more we believe that our desire has power, the more we believe we have power, then the more we'll love the idea that we can have what we want through changing our mind. But you got to believe you have power. If you don't think you have power, you'll be looking for someone else to make you happy. So let's go to cultivating an unlimited consciousness.
What page is that?
It's on page 158. Okay, we'll take another couple of minutes. Anybody else have a comment or a thought about what's been said? Oh, by the way, the thing that hasn't shown up yet that you think you want, it's for your own best interest that it hasn't. That's the other flip side of that. You could go, and it hasn't shown up, and it's for my own best interest that it hasn't shown up yet. Then you won't be so upset about not having it. Like if you say you want something, like if you say you want a job, and you went to this job and you prayed to Spirit and you said, Spirit, you decide for me whether or not I get this job. Universe, you make the decision. Then they call you up the next day and they say, we hired someone else. If you really gave it up to Spirit and they hired someone else, your response would be, that's the best thing in the world that I did not get that job and they hired someone else because I asked the universe to be in charge, Spirit to be in charge, and this evidently was Spirit's response, which is, you didn't need that job. That would have been the job from hell. That wasn't the thing. That wouldn't be the one that you really need to get. Now, can you imagine how peaceful your day would be if you looked at things that way? That if you actually looked at things like the things that were happening to you, even if you didn't realize it, were ultimately helping you in some way that you didn't even know about. So that's why we have to cultivate an unlimited consciousness.
So then, just really quick. So then, if like I text someone or I send someone something and they don't respond to me, yeah, I'd be like, well, they didn't respond to me. Them not responding to me is in my best interest.
If that's the truth of it. Is that it would everything is. The universe is a good universe. The universe is about our good. We've just been taught that it's not. And so we see what we've been taught. And then we use that as validation. You know, if I believe all women are no good, then I'm going to meet no good women. And then I'm going to say, see, that's right. All women are no good. Well, all the good women, I wouldn't have never noticed them, never seen them, and never attracted them because my core belief is that I can't trust women. So I'm going to draw the women to me that are untrustworthy, and that validates my belief. And that's what happens in every area. That once you come up with a premise, then you're going to get that premise proven to you. But it doesn't mean that's necessarily true. That just means that's what you believe. See, an invisible belief is just a belief that you've accepted as fact. So you don't question it anymore. And the minute you don't question it, it's invisible to you. Like, for instance, most people don't question that they're bodies, that they are a body, that they're a human body. They don't even question, or I put it this way, most men don't question that they're men, right? But suppose I'm more than that. Suppose this is just one manifestation of who I am, and I'm something greater than this body that you all sit and see, and you're greater than what you think you are. Suppose you were more than that. Well, then this would just be a belief about what you are. A belief that you've accepted as true to the point that you don't even question it. I'm just a man. I'm just a black man. That's who I am. And this book is saying, nah, you're really an unlimited spiritual being who is giving yourself the experience of being a black man. You're God as a black man. You're a spirit as a black man. You're love as a black man. You're love manifesting itself as you. You're creation manifesting itself as you. You are Spirit or God being you. Like if the Creator went, what would it be like to be like you? That's where you came from. You are a manifestation of the one, infinite power. That's how powerful you are, right? But we forgot about it. Why did we forget? Nobody friggin' told us that. If you had been told from the day you were born that you were fabulous, beautiful, innocent, strong, loved, priceless, that's exactly how you be feeling about yourself. Think right here today, sitting here. And you probably didn't hear that all the time when you were coming up, right? Anybody in here?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, then why are we surprised that we have real issues? We didn't get the truth about us. And so we didn't manifest the truth about us. And then we attracted people who also reflected that back to us. And that's why it's saying here, cultivating unlimited consciousness. He says, as we enter these lessons on transformation, you will discover that we begin to speak more directly to you. We will not be beating around the bush, not placating your resistance, your fears, and not stroking you for the dramas you have created that have seemed to separate you from the truth of your beingness. So when you're around a more conscious being, they are not going to placate you, and a more conscious person is not going to stroke you for your dramas that you've created. He says, for as we move into the way of transformation, the call is being sent from us to you to arise and assume complete responsibility for all that you see, assume complete responsibility for all that you think, and assume complete responsibility for all that you choose. Rest assured, if you hear this call, it is because a deeper part of you has learned and has called it to you. I said again, if you hear this call to your unlimited self, it is because a deeper part of you has called it to you. Think about what brought you here tonight. What part of you brought you here tonight? Some of you didn't even expect to be here tonight. Some of you, this might be the first time you wondering how in the heck did you show up in the Twilight Zone. You was mad your own. And the next thing you know, you was in a weird room with a weird looking dude talking weird stuff. Where did that come from? Right? Yeah. It's because a deeper part of you called it to you. Because what is this weird dude saying? This weird dude is saying you're unlimited. This weird dude is saying you deserve love. This weird dude is saying you can have what you really want and what inspires you and that you're not alone. Isn't that funny that a person telling you that's the person that's seen as the weird dude? I'm weird because I acknowledge you. I'm weird because I say that you deserve to be happy. So that makes me weird. Check it out. Don't you think something's wrong with that? Am I by myself? Is that kind of, so therefore I'm the one that would generate suspicion. See, I generate a lot more suspicion than if you were talking to a person that said you were going to hell and you were sinful and you were guilty. Oh, you tied to them. But people do it every Sunday. They get completely disempowered, and they give 10% of their income. You tell somebody you love them, you're lucky if you receive anything. Believe me, I'm a witness. But God takes care of me through people. So then I can take all my desires off of what you give or don't give. You understand what I'm saying? If I believe everything I have comes only from God, then I can give freely. And that's what I do. But people tend not to value things that they receive freely as much as things they pay for. So people pay attention more to you when you're teaching them something they paid for than they do if you give them something free, even though they say they would love to have it freely. Trust me on that. You know, it's because that's the way we've been programmed. We've been programmed to be consumers and to pay, and it's not valuable unless we do. So we are given every moment everything we need to be happy right now. And he's saying, as we enter in these lessons on transformation, you will discover that we begin to speak more directly to you. It's, what about that assume complete responsibility for all that you see, all that you think, and all that you choose? Rest assured, if you hear this call, it's because a deeper part of you has called it to you as a way by which you remember that these things are already contained within you. The way of transformation is the way of assuming responsibility for time, for each and every moment of time. So that means if a person wants to transform in any area of their life, the way that they do it is to assume responsibility for what they are experiencing each moment of their life. So if you want to transform your financial situation, you have to assume complete responsibility for your financial situation every moment. If you want to transform your love life, you have to assume 100% responsibility for what's happening in your love life right now. In any area that you want to transform, transformation equals assuming responsibility. How can I tell when I'm assuming responsibility? I'm empowered and I'm not blaming. I'm empowered, and I'm not blaming. At the point that I'm blaming is the point in which I am not transforming. Yes.
So can you give us an example of how this might look in 2 days, sitting around the table with family members who, for me, bring about, like, I feel like all the spiritual teachings just go right out the window.
Well, you know, Thanksgiving and Christmas represent our yearly PhD test
Oh boy.
to see if we truly mean any of this stuff that we're studying, right? I can say I'm the most loving, patient, kind, you know what I'm saying? Because when you go visit family, you go back into your deepest, earliest programming and projection. So they always get you in touch with the core stuff in you, the stuff that's really that deep core stuff. Now, one of the ways it's worked for me has been, number one, remember, expectations, that's the mother of grievances. So I'll say it again. Expectation is the mother, instead of calling them a mother. Expectation. Because if you go home with an agenda and a script and an expectation for your family, you're setting yourself up for grievances. But if you go home and you go, you got two things. You go home, first practice this. Practice this, go. Together. Notice I didn't say anything. Did y'all notice that? Didn't a word come out of my mouth, did it? I went
Smiling out.
and always answer a question with a question. You know, because be interested instead of trying to be interesting. And ask them, how do you feel? What are you doing? What could I support you in having? What's happening with you? I'd love to see you happier. I'd love to see you have what you really want. What is it that you want? Oh, is that what you're trying to accomplish right now? Well, shoot, I'm sure to see that it's happening for you. I want you to have that too. Notice that the peace is coming not from my agenda, but from me making a decision that I'm only there to give and receive love. I'm there. See, what I do is I go, okay, Earl, let go of your scripts, and you're only here for one reason, to be the presence of love. And since that's your goal, then that means breathe. If you feel yourself being triggered, breathe, and let your temptation to attack be a clue to you to breathe and be quiet. Like if you can take that twins that's coming up, and because what they're doing is they're really doing you a favor. Really doing you a favor. The people who trigger you are really doing you a favor, because they're making you aware of the things within yourself that you need to reperceive and change. And without them, you would fool yourself into thinking you were really nice. You know what I'm saying? I would be like really not telling myself the full truth about myself. Because the Course in Miracles says we make two faces. Face number one is the face of innocence, that everyone makes up one. That's the face that's often wet with tears because of the injustices that the world would do to somebody that would be kind. Everybody familiar with that face? I only attack in self-defense. If they didn't mess with me, then I wouldn't go off. He says everybody makes that face. And then he says we have another face. And the face that's under that is the one that's angry. Feels like it hasn't got its just desserts, that people have abused it and misused you, and it's pissed. And it's the part that wants to attack. But we hide that one beneath the face of, I'm nice, Earl Purdy. Right? And then we wonder where the people come from who tend to not treat us well. And we don't realize they are a reflection of our hidden face, our hidden anger, our hidden grievances. And they show up to show us that there's some parts of us that ain't so nice. Okay? And so the temptation for us is to go, I'm still nice, you're not nice. And then that keeps them coming. That keeps them coming. Because sooner or later you got to go, this is a reflection of something that's going on in my mind. Now notice I didn't say this is a reflection of me. Did y'all notice that? I didn't say the person that is upsetting me is a reflection of me. Don't say that. They're not a reflection of you. They are a reflection of a thought in your mind. See the difference? To go say, well, that's just a reflection. No, let me tell you about you. You are unlimited consciousness. You are unlimited spirit. You are powerful. You are love. You are innocent. You are free. That's who you are. Now, you have thoughts that are not like that. Those thoughts create a perception that you see in the world that you either like or you don't like, but it's coming from your thought. And so that's why it's teaching us, well, if you want to be free, you have to cultivate an unlimited consciousness. It's like Parliament Funkadelic, one of my favorite funk bands back in the day, said, free your mind and your ass will follow. And that was like, that needs to be put on a statue. You know what I'm saying? You need to be going to Washington seeing that up on the sign. Because that's the truth. Because if your physical body is where your mind is putting it, then wherever you put your mind, your body is going to be there. That's why your body is here tonight. Your body didn't decide to come to this class. It didn't have any choice. Your mind decided to come. Your body became the means to get here. So your body is totally neutral. So stop attacking your body. Your body isn't sinful. Your body isn't bad. Your body isn't guilty. Your body is neutral. It's neither good nor bad. It's what you want to use it for that determines what you feel about it. That's deep. So, don't you see now why the emphasis in this class and all these truth classes are always on consciousness and mind and responsibility? Because that's the only thing that's going to change it. Anything. So I want to acknowledge you all for even coming. I always want to acknowledge people for coming to these kind of classes because these are the most difficult classes for people to attend. Because they are classes that put the responsibility for what you experience on the person. And people don't really like that. So when I see people come to classes like this, I know I'm dealing with very advanced souls. People who are deep into suffering never are attracted to anything that says they're responsible for anything. Because if you do that, you won't suffer very long. But if you stay the victim, you will. So if I want to suffer, I've got to blame. It must be what I do all day. All right, I remember I used to love to blame my father. Just loved it. Anybody ever blamed a parent for anything?
What are you talking about?
Yeah, I know. You know, it's like, did you ever say, I didn't ask to be born? Anybody ever say that when they were kids? I didn't ask to be. Yes, you did. Yes, you did ask to be born. That's what you're going to find out as you grow in consciousness. You didn't just happen to show up here, folk. You set it up. But you set it up to win. You didn't set it up to lose. It's just you got here and you lost your map. You lost your inner compass. But you can get it back any day. You can get your GPS back any day. And I call it my God positioning system. Or my good positioning system. You know, we all got GPSs. But you know the physical material universe is a reflection of our consciousness. So if we've created GPSs in the physical world, it's a reflection of our own ability to get guidance from within, physically manifested. You know, I travel all around the country teaching, but if I got this, my Star Trek communicator, right? Because I do remember when it was science fiction. I'm that old, okay? And so I'm looking at Star Trek right here in my hand. Where I go anywhere, it tells me exactly where it goes. And you know what I love about it? Is that when I make a wrong turn, it doesn't send me back to the point which I made the wrong turn. It reroutes me from wherever I am. And you can be rerouted from wherever you are. Right where you are right now. You can get rerouted. Isn't it great? Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. So, but you have to be willing to admit that you're wrong. I mean, like if I'm getting rerouted, I got to get off my position that I went down the right street, don't I? Because if I keep on going down the wrong street, no matter how much the GPS is going to keep rerouting me, right? But unless I go, it makes you mad. Turn right. No, I don't want to go that way. Turn right anyway. You know, me and my GPS get into it, you know. GPS, hey, you mother, hey, okay, well, you know, so me and my GPS go for it. But that's what we do, though. We continually are rerouted, but we're determined to go down this street, no matter what. And the GPS never forces me to turn. It just keeps telling me I'm going the wrong way. That's the way the universe works. So you can keep going in a direction that doesn't bring you peace for the rest of your life, and nothing will stop you. But every moment something is telling you reroute. And how do you know that you need to reroute? Emotionally, psychologically, mentally. Well, the way you know is by how you feel. That's how you know. If you're in a relationship and you feel like crap 90% of the time, reroute. Right, because it feels crappy. You're on a job that you want to kill yourself before going to it in the morning. Reroute. But it's not gonna force you. That's why my heart goes out to myself, is of my brothers and sisters. I see so much misery and happiness. And I watch people who are miserable who just won't reroute. They want you to pick them up, turn them, and carry them in the new direction. And I used to try to do that. I used to try to share with people and then carry them down the field. And that don't work. I'm telling you. There are plenty of people who want you to do it, though. They want you to do everything. So glad I woke up. Jesus. Being a control freak is exhausting. It is. I was such a control freak. And then the Spirit kept saying, no, you let them be. What? Like Star Trek, obey the prime directive, Purdy. Do not mess with the alien civilizations. If you keep on messing with the alien civilization, let that person be. Stop trying to interfere. Stop caretaking. Trust that they have the same power in them that you have in you. Trust that the same God that's guiding you is also guiding them. That Spirit did not make a voice just for you alone, to the point that you got it, but they don't have access to it. I trust that every one of you have access to your own higher guidance. That's why I can relax. You know, you just might not want to access it, but you got it. But you will. Isn't that great to know? Because everybody's got a limit. I'm so glad I reached mine. And some of y'all at y'all's limit. In some area of your life, you just had it. You can't take it no more. Nobody's having to force you to do something about that area, I bet. Right? So he says, time is not a prison for you. It is that which flows out of your very consciousness. And there is never a place or a time which is more conducive to the way of transformation than the place in which you are and the time that is right now. Bam! You're right now in your life, you're in the most conducive, best time to make your transformation. Do you know that everything and everybody in your life right now are perfect for your transformation? They were tailor-made. For those parents you're going to see in Thanksgiving, those brothers and sisters, those uncles and cousins and aunts, they were just perfect for your transformation. They couldn't be any better for your transformation. Especially the ones that judge you, criticize you, and are generally not very nice. They're the ones that you get a chance to practice with. Practice what? Knowing that I'm the one that's giving them all the meaning they have to me, and they can't affect me any more than I allow it. through the meaning I'm giving them. So here's a tip. When you go there, you want to go, they just a big call for love. That person is just a huge call for love. That's what you say. Now, you don't have to believe it. All right? I'm not saying you're going to feel like they're a big call for love. And you're going to have all this compassion when they're being their usual self. It's just that you're going to tell the truth about what it is regardless of how you feel about it. So you may not like me, but I'm still Earl. So regardless of how you feel about me, I'm still who I am. So regardless of how you feel about the people who upset you, there's still cause for love. That's what they are. That's what they're doing. They're calling for help. That's why they're so miserable, so judgmental, and so critical. They're in pain. They're miserable. They're unhappy. And they're trying to make themselves feel special by making you inferior to them. That's all. They're miserable people. That's why they're judging. That's why they're criticizing. That's why they're condemning. And if you do it to them, then you just like them, right? And then now they're inviting you over for New Year's dinner and Christmas dinner. You know what I'm saying? Now we're gonna have a rerun. Let's do Christmas now. Just we get our other test just a month later though. It's like, okay, Thanksgiving was the practice session. All right, I see what I'm gonna be up against. All right, when I go back to Christmas, I'll be ready. Because I had my preview of coming attractions. Look at it that way. This is your dress rehearsal coming up this week. And some of you are looking forward to it. To see some people, and some people you're not, right? Everybody's not like, can't stand their family. There's some people that just absolutely just, like I adore my brothers and sisters. I mean, they saved my life. You know, so I can't wait to get to them because I know I'm going to be nurtured. They love their brother. All right? So I can't wait to receive it. And then there are the other people. Okay, then with them I go, I'm there to give and receive love. You know, that's what you know. I got a grandson I've never met. So it'll be the first time we've met each other. And so it's like, okay, he chose me, so me and him got to have a talk. And he doesn't have to talk yet. But I know he knows because he's still fresh. So he hasn't forgotten yet. He's just going through the frustration that we all went through of being babies and toddlers trying to control our bodies, even though we still had consciousness. But we didn't have the words nor the physical ability to use our bodies like we do now. Some of us remember that. Being a baby was a trip because you were conscious, just like you are now, but without the vocabulary and no way to ask for what you really wanted. Can you imagine what that was like? Just hoping that someone would come feed you, or change your diaper, or sit you up, or lay you down, because you had no control over your body yet, because you were playing the game of going from helplessness to power. And that's the game we play when we come here. We're going from helplessness to power. That's what we're doing. Think about how far advanced you are now over how you were as a toddler. Okay, you're more powerful now, right? That's where it's going to keep on being. You're just going to grow in power. And you're going to see this you as a toddler one day. You're going to be shocked at how unconscious you are now. Just like a little baby. That's awesome. I'm excited to see what I am. I've been called a few things. But I'm excited to see what I really am. And I need help. So I'm going to have friendships and relationships that remind me of my power. And I'm no longer going to form intimate relationships with people who I use to put me down, to make me feel unloved and insignificant. Will not do that anymore. It's done. Not playing that game anymore. So you know what? Now I'm surrounded by people who do that. They didn't show up until I changed my mind. I didn't know how they were going to show up, by the way. Now they show up in the elevator. I told a story one time about this motorcycle gang looking dude that got in the elevator with me. I mean, he looked like, he could bite my head off in 2 seconds. And like he might even like some dark meat, you know what I'm saying? And he got out, and just when he got in the elevator, he looked at me and he went, you know, brother, we just all need to love each other more and just recognize that we're one, and then the world would be a better place. Your whole world starts to transform when you do. So if I had to judge them by appearances, never would have guessed that, right? Right. The world will change when you change. You'll be amazed at how much your mama changed when you change. Be amazing. Be amazing. It says, there is no one without privilege. There is no one by their station in life. There's no one by their station in life, as the world would see it, who is limited from watering and cultivating and bringing forth the fruit that rests within their limited consciousness. I say it again. If you go visit your family, say, I'm here to give love. Breathe, smile, and compliment. And you'll have a different kind of a Thanksgiving probably. Don't try to convince them of anything. Don't try to change their mind or opinion about anything. Avoid politics and religion. And you probably have a pretty good time. Don't try to convince them that they're unlimited spiritual beings who abide in many dimensions of consciousness. And whatever you do, don't ask them when they're upset about something, why did they create that? They will kick your butt. That's the worst thing you can say to a person when they're upset is, why did you create that? Or you know that you created that. That's why I stopped even telling people stuff that I was going through. Because people always pounce. Like everybody else can say what they're going through around me. And I let them say it and don't try to correct them and let them express themselves. But if I even hint that anything is going on with me, I get, well, you know you created that. Well, why did you create that? That's the answer that comes back most of the time. Because now is their opportunity to correct me. Because it seems like I've been correcting them. So rather than answer me in a compassionate way, it's more like, can I give it back? Well, Earl, I can't believe it. You're the teacher and you don't realize that you mean you're still creating that? And you've been doing the course all this time? What a compassionate response to what I'm going through. But that's what a part of me creates. A part of me creates. See? And that's how I get past it. Go, oh, okay, Earl, that's you saying that to you. And then you giving their response all the meaning it has for you. They can respond any way they want to. And you don't have to get upset about it. Because my ego would say, tell them not to correct you. Tell them to do it different. Okay, so if they don't correct me, then I'll feel better. No, that's taking my power away. No. If I can't handle you, I'll either leave from around you or I'll change my feelings about what you're saying. But the last resort for me is to talk to the person about changing their behavior toward me. That's the last resort, where it used to be the first one. The first thing I do is, let me tell you what you're doing, Chris, that I wish you wasn't doing, and if you would do it differently, then I would really feel good. Now that's the last thing I want to say, because I'm setting it up where your behavior has to shift in order for me to feel good. That's totally taking my power away. So can my mama be my mama on Thanksgiving and I still keep my peace? Can my brother be my brother? Can my cousin be himself and I still don't allow myself to be touched by that? Now I'm becoming an unlimited spirit. Does that make sense to everybody? Mm-hmm. Don't set it up where other people's behavior determine how you feel. That's not saying if something is really off the chain for you that you can't say to somebody. Like I'll tell somebody, hey, look here, you innocent. You innocent. The way you are is innocent. But, because sometimes you do that. Yeah. But if I keep having this kind of interaction with you, whether I'm creating it or you creating it, I'm not going to be around you. It doesn't work for me. So it doesn't mean being a doormat. It means I'm taking responsibility and I'm leaving now. Yeah.
And that's where I get confused, because I hear the word love, and then I have my idea that, oh well, love is supposed to accept everything and embrace everything. And then when I hear about, like, you know, like what you just said, that, like, you know, sometimes you tell people, well, you know, I just can't be around you, and that's kind of like abandonment.
No. The most loving thing that you could do for me, Chris, if you didn't love me, would be to not be around me. Not try to be around me and don't love me and resent me and don't like me. But your misguided sense of love says you're going to stick around me even though you don't love me. And that if you didn't like me and you left me, I would be abandoned by you. Please abandon me. Do you understand?
Okay.
It's nothing worse than being in a relationship with somebody who doesn't see you correctly and is mistreating you, but they won't go because of a misguided sense of loyalty and duty. I'd much rather someone who really did not care about me and didn't care to not try to make themselves love me, because they're really taking up the space of someone who would. I need that empty space, like a seat. You know, get out the seat so somebody that loves me can sit next to me. I don't need you sitting next to me trying to make yourself love me all night. That's okay. There's someone who will love me just the way. There's someone that just loves my love handles. You just get a better grip on me. You know what I'm saying? like handles. You know what I'm saying? So while you're complaining that I'm not working out enough, there's somebody that's glad to be able to hold on for dear life. You know what I mean? So it's all good. It's all good. Isn't that a much better perception when you think about it? You start thinking like that when you love yourself. You don't want anybody around you that it's an effort for them to love you. You want them to be where it's not an effort. Woo!
So then it's not because I don't want to love, it's because that's their choice, and I'm giving them the freedom.
Say it again.
Okay, like if I'm in a relationship with someone and I try to love and then they don't want to respond back, it's not because I'm not loving them enough and I'm not doing enough. It's because it's their choice.
Well,
and
to be absolutely honest, if it's mattering to you how they respond, you're not loving them.
Okay.
Because you're getting upset because they're not acting out your script. So that's not really loving them. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
You know, the fact that, you know, you said, I'm giving it to them, but they're not giving it back. Well, you ain't giving it to them.
Okay.
Because real love would get off on the giving. Real love would be satisfied just because. See, when you love somebody, you love the feeling that's going through you to them. And that feeling itself is satisfying. More so than even worrying about how they respond, you're enjoying the love coming through you. Love comes through you, not from you. So it's feeling so good, and what comes through you must have an effect on you. So if I'm loving you, Chris, I'm loving you, Chris. And that feels good. Now how you respond, that's up to you. You follow me? But see, most people don't do real love. So they don't understand what I'm saying. The Course in Miracles teaches what we do is bargains. And we call it love. I give it to you. If you give it back to me, if you act a certain way, then I'm going to be. You know. So we got all these conditions and bargains, and we call it love. But it's not love. It's specialness. It's specialness. I'm making you special, Chris. Is not the same as I'm in love with you. And check this out. I'm in love with you. We're both in love. That's what I'm in love with you should mean. Instead of I'm in love with you. No, I'm in love with you. See the difference?
Yeah.
It makes all the difference in the world. Would you pass this around? If you haven't had a chance to sign up for the contact list, Because I send these out as links for people to get a chance to watch the classes again in case you're not on the contact list. And with winter coming up, I can let you know if I'm not having a class. So ask yourself, am I in love with this person? Or am I in get with this person? I want to get. I used to want to get. I saw somebody, I want to get them. And so if I put it out there, if I'm interested and I put the energy out there and it's not being reciprocated, then you don't try harder. If you are inviting and the person can see you're inviting and they're not accepting your invitation, then don't go any further. You know, if I say I'm wide open, one of the ways you can find out what somebody want to do with you is say you can do whatever you want. And then you find out what they want to do. And you might say, well, that's more than what I want you to do. But when you give a person total freedom, then the only limits they have are the ones they have. And so all of a sudden you know what that person's limit is with you and what they want to do with you. Because you gave them permission and all they want to do is talk to you. Then that's all they want. Mm-hmm. But if a person doesn't know, then you have to keep trying to find out. So I just go ahead and ask, what are your limits with me? What makes you feel peaceful with me? What would be too much for you? How would you feel safe? What is it that you want? What would be okay with you? People know. They have some idea. It's too easy. Somebody said they want to go out with you, say, what for? They know why they walked up to ask for your phone number. They know exactly what was on their mind. And if they go to stuttering, you know they don't want to tell you what they're walking up there for, because you might not go along with what they wanted. So if they stuttering, you go, okay, I know what you wanted. It's something you don't feel like you can tell me and it would be okay. Whereas you'd say, I came up because I thought you were a really cool person. And I thought maybe it'd be friendly to get to know you. You look like you interest me. You see what I'm saying? If I have a purpose that I feel innocent about, then I'm going to tell you. But if I'm coming up to you because I want to get your body, well, I'm not going to walk up there and say, well, the truth is I want to take you straight to bed and just muck your brains out tonight. Because you probably wouldn't say yes. And if you did, well, then I would call that a holy encounter. You know, because that is possible. Haven't you ever had that happen? You haven't? Yes. Yeah. I've had people that I've met instantly, and we had an incredible connection. That there was no limits in that connection because of how cool it was, and it didn't anything negative come out of it. Why? Because you both wanted it, and you both took responsibility for it. You're adults. There's nothing sinful about whatever you want to do with your body. Nobody says that every relationship is meant to be for weeks and months and years. Some relationships should only be one time. And that's it, buddy. Y'all know I'm telling the truth. And you'll go back and you'll try to make it more than that, and it'd be a disaster. And then some people, the fire isn't there at first. It's like you build it, and it slowly grows. Those usually last the longest. You have to be aware of the one that start out with. You know, you want to put a little water on that one. Like when you barbecue or something, you want to get that flame down. Because it burns up the meat. I know I'm telling the truth. Right? There's some relationships that are flares. You go, some are like fireworks. And then some of them are just slow, steady. Like that. You know. So just you know. Just take what did he say? Take responsibility, and it will be transformation. He says, there is no one who is a victim of the world they see. For the world they see truly occurs nowhere save within the field of their awareness, what we call consciousness in mind. I bring up relationships, and I bring up the body, and I bring up all that stuff because the Course teaches that it's our special relationships that we use as the chief weapon against our happiness, where they should be the things that accelerate our happiness. But we use them to delay our happiness. So that's why I harp on that, because when people say they're unhappy, and they're usually talking about less than 10 people. Like when a person says, my life isn't working and I'm unhappy and I'm dissatisfied, they're usually talking about less than 10 people or situations that they're dealing with. So your world is made up of your intimate relationships. That's your world for the most part. So if you got like 10 or 15 friends you love, you say your whole world is cool. But if you got 5 or 6 people in your life and 4 of them you're not hardly speaking to, you'll say your world sucks. It's relationships, y'all. It's all about relationship. And the relationship with yourself is the most important one, because everything's going to be a reflection of that, including your relationship with God. Tell me your relationship with me, and I'll tell you your relationship with God. It's just that simple. It's not complex. So it says the buildings, the automobiles you drive, the dollars in the bank, none of this is real. Wow. If you want to increase your finances, there's a mantra you can say that you probably might resist, but you'll be amazed at the difference it will make. It's this: money is nothing. If you want to take it even further, go, money is paper strips, metal disc, plastic, and digits. And you put money in perspective. And your mind has already learned it's easy to produce paper strips, disc, and plastic, because plastic's all around us. Again, change your perception of it, it changes your whole relationship to it. Money is nothing. It's a medium, but it's not the source. And people who think money is the source are usually the ones who have the most problems with it. The ones who tell you, if I just get the money, everything will be all right. Same thing about relationships. It's the person who thinks their happiness is going to happen when they meet the right person is the person that generally doesn't have relationships that they like. It's the person who feels like the relationship is just a way for them to love themselves. Then that's the ones who are going to have a better relationship. The relationship is just a way for love to come through us, but we are not sourcing it. I just want to get out the way so love can come through me to every one of you. When I'm sitting here, it's not about what I'm saying to me. It's about me sitting here, seeing you as powerful and innocent and beautiful, whether you think you're that way or not, asking higher power to come through me and bless you. That's my secret agenda that you don't know about. It has nothing to do with the words I've said tonight. It's the way I feel about you. Because you're me. And I'm you. We're one. All right, let's acknowledge ourselves for hearing the Black Man Rant. Another episode of the Black Man Rant. So good. So good. All right. Cool. We're going to do the financial expression of appreciation. I do this full time, so I thank you for your generosity and hope you see value in what comes through me to you. Those of you on the internet, thank you so much. I've been getting so many great emails and compliments and let me know that you really enjoy what I do. And it's helpful. If you want to make a financial expression of appreciation, you can go to my website, earlpurdy.com. I'm also available for clarity sessions if you have any issues that you need healed or you want another way to look at it. And you're open also to astrology and numerology, which are two other things I do. Then go to my website. It explains the clarity sessions that I do, and we can do it on Skype or phone or in person. So I'm here to be truly helpful. So I would love to work with anybody that wants to work with me, so I can heal something else in myself as well as you. All right. Now, before I finish up, any questions, any comments? We got about 5 minutes, 6 minutes. Was there any ahas tonight? Was there anything that anybody heard that they don't mind saying that they want to remember?
Well, the thing that I have written down a couple of times is take responsibility, and then there's transformation. And I know we've learned a lot from you about taking responsibility, but I liked that.
Yeah, that the way of transformation is taking responsibility. That's how you know you're blaming yourself isn't taking responsibility. Saying stuff like, I know I created it. I know I'm the one that did it to myself. That's not taking responsibility. When you do that, that's just self-blame. If you're taking responsibility, you'll know it because it makes you feel empowered. It makes you feel lighter. If you're blaming yourself, but you're acting like you're taking responsibility, you're upset. Well, I know I did it. I'm the one who did it. Okay, that's still being a victim. Only you're taking the psychic sledgehammer out and you're beating yourself up. So don't do that. All right.
One thing I heard, I wrote down, the desires you want that haven't showed up have not showed up for your best interests.
That's right. Why don't you ask the Holy Spirit to send you the person that would be the best person for you, and you stop picking them. You know, if you're really smart and you have a history of having relationships that don't work out, then either move toward the one that doesn't blow you away at first, but you feel a connection to. Or if you feel a really strong attraction, go the other way. Because you know your pattern. And if you're attracted to them, they're probably the wrong person. Just because you're attracted to them. How do I know she's wrong? I want her. She's got to be the wrong one for me. And because the ones that have been the greatest have usually been the ones that were least expected, that showed up unexpectedly, that you weren't even trying to make happen. That's a hint right there. And then the ones that usually sending you to the psychiatrist is the one that you went overboard to try to get. You know, I see myself as being a valuable person, a significant person, a beautiful person. So if someone's not attracted to me, it doesn't mean like there's anything wrong with me. They just don't recognize me. And you want somebody who recognizes you. And the person who recognizes you, they see your quality and they're drawn to it. Somebody that doesn't recognize you and are not interested, thank God they don't see me. I don't want somebody that doesn't see me. But the part of me that loves rejection does. Because there's a part of me that loves rejection. It wants the person that doesn't want me. It wants whatever is unavailable and out of reach. But what I can have, take it for granted. You know, so now I'm loving myself more, so now I want what wants me. And that's how you can tell when you're starting to love yourself. And you get over it faster if somebody doesn't want you. You might go through some changes at first because it is kind of weird, but then you wake up and you go, wow, I dodged a bullet, I dodged a bullet. And, you know, I've never had a relationship end where the next one wasn't better. Ever. Since I've been on the path. Okay? Because I had to put that qualifier on there, you know. Because you should have applied something that you've learned. And you should have learned something. And if you've learned something, the next one should be better. That's what I'm saying. So each one has improved because I never stopped doing my personal growth work. Which means I know myself better, so I know when I'm talking to somebody who's more compatible with me or not. And I try to let the Holy Spirit be in charge of it. Part of me that loves me. So I'm saying to you, all you have to do when you're ready to have a relationship is say, I am ready to learn. That's the magic incantation spell. Okay? Everybody who wants somebody just say, I'm ready to learn. And they'll show up. Okay, so close your eyes one more time. We're going to do one last little centering before we go out into the dream. Sunday at 1 o'clock, I do a class called The Course in Miracles downstairs. Awesome class you're invited to. And then on Tuesdays, this class, The Way of Mastery. Okay, so I want you to ask yourself, am I fully committed to transforming my awareness? Am I fully committed to transforming my awareness? Am I fully, no bull, committed to transforming my awareness from one who has been sleeping? So you're not bad, you're not guilty, you're not sinful. The truth would say you've just been asleep. That means unaware. So you're not sinful and bad. You may have just been sleeping and sleepwalking. Am I fully committed to perceiving myself as limited to space and time? Or am I committed to truly hearing my family's, my friends, my brother's call to take up my cross and follow him? So ask yourself, am I 100% committed to my joy? Am I 100% committed to my happiness? Am I 100% committed to my happiness? And then there's a question that I want you to ask yourself. Put it this way. You want to start talking to yourself in questions. So you want to say, what would it take? What would it take for me to be 100% committed to my happiness? What would it take for me to be 100% committed to my happiness in ways beyond my wildest imagination through my divine self? What would it take for me to be 100% committed to my happiness in ways beyond my wildest imagination through the divine, or you could say through God or through my Holy Spirit, whatever term you use for something greater than yourself? What would it take for me to be 100% committed to my happiness in ways beyond my wildest imagination, in ways beyond my wildest imagination through the Holy Spirit, my divine self? And think of one thing that you could honestly tell yourself that you want, that you feel 100% committed to having. Just one thing that you can say with certainty you would love to experience. It can be anything your heart desires. I'm not going to tell you what that should be. Mighty companions, I hope you have the best Thanksgiving you have ever had. And I am so grateful to you and for you. You juicy like a turkey. So I mean that you're turkeys in the highest way possible. I love you. See you next time. Could we acknowledge Oscar? Here it is. Whoa. Okay, so report back next week.